exhausted. I only got about 3 hours of sleep last night. I had 3 flights today, and the airline lost my luggage. We have a mock speech tournament tomorrow, which I have been stressing over, and all of that happening at once kind of created the perfect storm, and I'm not going to lie, I started to have a bit of a come apart, but my very loving and supportive mom reminded me that life throws situations at us that we can't always control, but we can control our reaction to them. And this is a great opportunity to practice having patience and exercising that release of control and being able to accept the situation for what it is and be able to move on. I definitely haven't mastered that yet, but I'm working on it, and I think making that realization and taking steps toward that is probably the first step in growing. Despite my inconveniences, I actually had a pretty good day. I learned from my run-in with TSA last week not to keep my produce and potatoes inside my bags. So I still had my potatoes, my rice, my vegetables, and I had them packed the exact same way that I did last time. But this time, right before I went through security, I pulled them out of my bag and set them in a tray by themselves. And my bags went through security, no problem at all. So that's definitely something that I need to remember to do in the future, and I can learn from that bad experience in the past and improve upon it. I also had an unexpected stop in Chicago today. When my dad booked my flight, he said that it was going to go from BWI to St. Louis on to Marion. He didn't realize that there was also a stop in Chicago mixed into that. At first I was a little frustrated that things weren't going exactly as I had planned them to go for the day, but it was actually pretty neat. I got to see the skyline of Chicago, which I've never seen before, and then after everyone else got off the plane, I was able to pick whatever seat I wanted. So I went and sat in the emergency exit row and got to have a lot of extra foot room, which was pretty cool. I also met some really incredible people today. At my layover in St. Louis, I met a young woman who is in her 2nd year of dental school. Her name is Lee. We bonded when an airport worker came through the terminal holding a bag of pills asking if anyone needed any. I assume someone dropped them and she was trying to return them, but for some reason we both got tickled pink over that. And then we sat and had a conversation talking about everything under the sun for about an hour. We were taking selfies and we're now friends on Facebook, so it was really neat to get to meet her. I also met a woman from Brazil today who had never seen snow before, and that was absolutely incredible to get to watch her experience that for the first time. That's one of my favorite things about traveling, getting to meet new people and broaden my horizons. When I was swing dancing, I danced with this young man named Ben who goes to school in Boston, and he is also on his college's debate team. And so then we ended up having to dance together for about half an hour while we finished our argument over foreign policy. But it's just neat to get to meet different people and learn about their experiences, their culture, their beliefs. And it's just something that I find really incredible, and it's one of my favorite things about traveling. I also got a little present from God today. When I arrived at my gate in St. Louis, I realized that the flight earlier in the day to Marion had been delayed and hadn't left yet. So I went to the counter and I said, "Sir, this is probably a really stupid question, but I was wondering if I could maybe get on that earlier flight." And he's like, "Oh, honey, there are no stupid questions. Let me look." And he looked, and then he was like, "Yeah, girl, you can get on that flight." And so he moved me up. I was able to get on the earlier flight, and it actually worked out perfectly because the flight I was supposed to be on also got delayed due to inclement weather, and that delay was almost 3 hours. I was very thankful that I was able to get home earlier just because this gentleman took time out of his day to check the flight and see if it had extra room on it. Long story short, I had a wonderful trip. I love traveling. It's always great to go out, meet new people, have new experiences, but I'm really glad to be home.